Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the select board to order on December 16th, 2025 at 6 o'clock. First thing is additions and deletions to the agenda.
I'd like to add one, another executive session, talk about personnel.
Okay.
Preferably after the discussion of the village conservancy.
Okay.
But that's all I have.
Okay. Citizens' comments.
Yeah.
Come on up and
sorry.
state your name, please.
Yeah, Ben Polly, I'm on the planning commission.
Have you been here at all today?
Just a little bit, yeah. Just a general comment, show of appreciation. Laura was on the planning commission from an ex officio, is that the correct term? Capacity. It is great having that talent and conveying this board's desires and wishes to the planning commission. So again, just from the not representing the planning commission, but personally on the planning commission, it's very encouraging to see the directive that you guys want us to take and the initiatives that you are interested in, and really happy to be working on the housing initiatives and the rewrites of the bylaws. And yeah, just going up to show appreciation for that. That's
Great.
it.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
I'd just like to, Roger Logan, Woodstock Village, et cetera, et cetera. I'd just like to thank you as always for the work you're doing. Especially want to thank Eric for keeping us up to date with the minutes, the notes you send out in the listserv. It's very helpful, and to know that you might be joining Hollywood soon. I also wanted to, Susie can't be here tonight, but she wanted to express her thanks to Eric for helping her get together and hooking her up with the right people for getting some something on taxation she's putting into the standard, and then also on helping prepare the FAQs about the reassessment. So that's a example of using citizen collaboration in a really great way. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Come on up and state your name, please.
Al Wessey, Pomfret Road. Also just wanted to thank Select Board, as I did last week with the trustees, as well as the staff, the communication, the maturity. It was wonderful to watch that. Of course, I'm saying this at the front now, having seen the trustees, I got to go through that. But it was a great contrast to what we're often seeing on our YouTube videos elsewhere in the land. So I just appreciate that. I appreciate the maturity, the information that goes out, the clarity, and I'm just hoping that between the residents and the boards and the staff, that we continue to grow in the direction of civility and mature communications. So thank you for those efforts.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Okay. See any online?
None like that I see.
Okay. Managers report.
Yeah, first, we had a successful Walsall weekend this following weekend. I want to thank the Walsall Committee, the Chamber of Commerce, all the businesses putting on a great event. I do want to highlight the work of our police department, a public works department. A public works department was out Friday morning clearing snow off in the village. We had a few on duty all day Saturday and Sunday to clean out any track and let it overflowing. We had the police all on duty for traffic, and then just presence in the village all day long. So I think everyone comes and has a great Walsall, but a lot of work and money goes behind it to make sure people can have that experience. I just want to highlight all they did. I've talked to a few business owners. They seem to have a great, successful weekend. So that's good. Hopefully that's the trend everywhere. And I also want to thank Jess Kirby, who's online as well. She put together another map to kind of show people what was open, so people had options to go to. I want to thank Carmen the Bell, who handed out free donuts, to people stuck in traffic. Just another great, show of Woodstock coming together as a community to helping, everyone out and kind of let people experience the magic Woodstock for a weekend. So I just want to thank everyone for that. We have a new public works hire who started yesterday, so we're fully staffed right around plow season, so we're excited for that. They'll be working out of the village for now, and we're hopeful they're a local person, so they'll be with us for a while and kind of keep us full staff going forward. We're knee deep into the budget season, so the select board will be discussing the FY27 budget tonight. The trustees looked at theirs last night. They will be getting theirs tomorrow night. And so now working through that process as well. Internally, we'll start working on the town report and village reports. Meg last year helped us out. She's helping us out again this year. And we're hoping to, have a vote by both boards in early January to make sure we're ready for time for the warning for the March town meeting. Two other just small notes. Town hall will close early this Friday at probably 2:45 p.m. For the holiday party for staff. We'll have a holiday party from 3 to 5 in Woodstock, so that's for staff. And then we'll also be closed the Friday after Christmas, 12/26. Just we assume no one's going to be coming to town hall, and so the staff can have an extra day with their family.
Thank you. Okay. Marketing committee interviews.
So I first just want to apologize. I don't think our communication was great coming from my office on the applicants on they'd have to be present today. I think I sent an email yesterday morning, so I just want to apologize for not being as upfront with them as possible.
Thank you. All right. Nora Pepe. Come on up. Just state your name for the record, please.
Nori Pepe.
Okay. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this position?
Sure. I'm the marketing manager at Billings Farm Museum and for the past 5 years. I'm a resident of Woodstock. I've bought my home about 8 years ago, and I have 2 kids at West right now. And I handle all of the external communications, the website. I do all of the content creation, all the photography. So I'm well versed in the marketing needs in this area. And I'm also, we've been a longstanding chamber member. And the reason I'm really attracted to me, I love the marketing. I feel like a lot of our marketing aligns with Woodstock marketing and kind of the story we're telling. But the reason I really love it is the opportunity to collaborate and work with partners in the community. We work closely with the Woodstock Inn and the National Park as our sister organizations, and then just through my role, it's one of my favorite things to do is collaborate with different farms in the area, different organizations, and kind of work together to lift up everyone. So I think this would be a great opportunity to kind of continue that. I've been part of the Woodstock Wassail organizing committee for the last 2 years, and that's just been a wonderful experience of kind of culminating in this weekend. It was such a great group to work with, and it's really fun to see the whole town just pitching in to make it wonderful.
Any questions from anyone? No? Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Do I need to stay?
No, we'll let everyone
No.
know by email tomorrow.
Thank you. Next up is Amy Bartlett. Yeah.
Yes, hello.
Your name
Thanks.
for the record.
Yes,
Tell us a little
so my name is Amy Bartlett.
And tell us a little bit of why you're interested in the position.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I grew up in the area. I graduated from Woodstock Union High School a few years ago. My family's home base has been in Reading for over 35 years, and I live down the road in on a small horse farm in Springfield. Professionally, I have my master's degree in business. I work remotely for a global software company. I currently lead corporate transformation and strategy initiatives. I have about 25 years of experience working with go-to-market and marketing teams with companies like Staples and Amazon, as well as with a couple of boutique consulting firms. A lot of my work is essentially helping leaders build their strategy and vision, working with creative and product folks to develop that vision, bringing the right teams together to implement that user experience. And then finally, I do a lot to ensure results are analyzed and approaches are adjusted and optimized. So I do a lot of partnering with marketing folks with different skill sets, backgrounds, interests on a daily basis. But I think more interestingly, outside of my day job, I own and run Vermont Wayfinders. That's my company that offers private guided tours by me, as well as self-guided experiences around the Woodstock area in Vermont. Woodstock is a major part of all of that. Many of my guests stay in Woodstock or are very close by, and my tours almost always include something in the town of Woodstock. When I'm guiding my tours, I spend up to 8 hours sometimes straight with my guests. And I hear directly from them about why they're coming to Vermont, why they chose the area, what they're excited about seeing, and then ultimately also sometimes like what why they want to come back. And sometimes they want to come back to visit, maybe in a different season. Sometimes they start thinking about becoming a more permanent part of the area, like full or part-time residents. I get questions about real estate and jobs and culture and community and all of those kinds of things all of the time. And I'll tell you kind of an interesting thing that I've noticed doing all of this. I can mention doing something on tour, and my guests might first say, like, I don't, like, we can skip that. We're not really interested. But then I find if I tell a personal story or some anecdote I've picked up about the place or the people there, I usually can literally see their attitude shift. And more often than not, they will say, yeah, actually, okay, let's check that out. So all of that to say, my interest in the marketing committee comes from the intersection of all of those things. I really care about Woodstock, the people, the businesses, of course. I'm a member of the chamber. And then I have this great direct line to how people discover Woodstock and, how they're talking about it, what they're thinking about it. And I can see how the right marketing totally influences their decisions and how they're sharing their experiences with others. And I know I just really enjoy collaborating with others who also care about the town. So appreciate the consideration and welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay. Thank you. We'll let you know tomorrow morning by email, correct?
Sounds good.
Lisa Lance, I don't think is here. She might have had a conflict that she couldn't get out of, but she might still try to come later, so maybe we can table it and get back for her.
Okay. Lauren.
Hello, Lauren Fisher, village resident, and co-owner of Focus Gallery on Central Street, and I also have a business where I lead photography workshops, and I bring people from literally all over the world to Woodstock, and I also do travel workshops. I'm also president of the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, so I have a vested interest in the marketing of Woodstock and making sure that it remains a wonderful place for people to come to live and visit. I previously owned a marketing company in New Jersey, doing digital marketing, creating websites, video, internet-based things. My main reason for wanting to be a part of the marketing is making sure that we have great communications between the chamber and the select board and the village trustees also, and the marketing director and the economic development person that you've hired. So we've had good conversations so far, and we look forward to having a great collaboration with them.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lauren, before you go, would you mind giving us an update on the chamber? I think you have an announcement for.
Yes, so we've hired a new executive director, it's Jim Kelly, who also works for the Standard. Very strong marketing background, sales. Born and raised here, went to Woodstock Union High School. Left for a while to be a professional snowboarder. Came back and well known in the community, in the business community, and be a real boon to the town. Executive director.
Good. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll wait for. Lisa.
Yeah, there's also an executive session later in the agenda to discuss any votes. You guys, please.
Okay. Next up is the homestead filing thing.
Yeah, so this has come up a few times internally and also externally from the board. And what this is the board has the ability to set a penalty for anyone who does not file a homestead declaration in time, just by April 15th of the year. It can be 3% or up to 8% if the property incorrectly declares a homestead is located in a municipality that has a lower homestead tax rate than the non-residential tax rate. Or if an undeclared homestead is located in a municipality that has a lower non-residential tax rate than the homestead tax rates. And your back, it's some more information. This is the first time we're going to talk about it publicly, so I figured take discussion. Next month will be a vote if the select board wants to go forward with this. And if you want, we can also ask the assessors to attend the next meeting to have more information if you want.
My question is, what is required? What makes somebody a resident? A license or?
You have to file with the state.
No, I know, but if they don't file with the state, if they own a second home, or if they live here, is it the fact that they live here, they have to have a license here?
Income taxes.
Income taxes.
I think.
Okay,
Yeah, you pay when you
just the income.
do your filing when you.
I'm going to refer to
when
their
you're
former attorney on this one, but yeah.
Okay.
Well, because the declaration, you send in the declaration
Right.
with the income.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my feeling is that, it does cause extra work for our staff to have to regenerate bills when people haven't filed. And I think 8% is kind of steep, but I think we should recoup something to encourage people to file with, I think most people, there's a form in the tax packet that just gets filled in, so.
I think 8% is cheap. But that's me.
So just Barnard already does this, Ludlow and Norwich are 3 communities around us that already have this in place.
And do you know what percentage?
I just know Barnard charges the full amount.
Okay.
I'm not sure about Ludlow or Norwich.
Okay, I think, put this on the agenda to vote on the next meeting and see if
Kathy,
if at least one of them, not both of them.
Is there any comment from the public? Roger?
I have a question. When you say, I'm one of those people who filed my homestead taxes late this year. Because we don't actually do our taxes on April, we do deferred taxation, deferred filing. When you say 3 to 8%, is that of the total assessment?
I think it's of the education.
Of the
tax.
education.
Yeah. Is right.
Yeah, the education tax on the property.
On the property, yes.
I think there's probably an off ramp for you, Roger. Like, I don't think that this is, do you know what I mean? Like, I think if you file late or you defer, you can work with the assessors.
Well, I'm gonna try not to do it again, but
Yeah.
I would suggest that, as I always do, there's a communications aspect to this.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do this, which is understandable, it costs somebody to send a message to me, and then it cost Eric to answer my message, what I said, what are you talking about? Or why was my tax different than we believed it to be? But I think you should make very clear, and if it's allowable for the town to send something out before the homestead tax is due, to make sure that people are nudged about it and explain that, if you're deferring your filings or whatever else, it doesn't make any difference. You have to.
And we can also check whether, I think you can probably file the homestead declaration independent of your tax return.
Oh, no, you can. It's just,
Yeah.
it's typical Vermont idiocy where you have to file something to get penalized. And who remembers to do that?
Yeah, I think people who live in districts where the non-homestead rate is higher definitely remember, but we're not in one of those
Right.
places.
Right.
So anyway, again, mea culpa, but just if there's a
Robust
strong
communication
communication.
plan.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking for the word robust.
You got
Okay.
it, Roger.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Wayfinding signs.
I think Abby Sherman is online.
I'm here. I'm just having problems. Hi. Hi. Yeah, so I put together a proposal to design wayfinding signs and a comprehensive village map of the various amenities in the village and then the outlying areas. I decided to put this together for a few different reasons. The first being when I first started here, like there are various parks that I never knew existed, even though I've lived here nearby most of my life. And then also others had said to me that like when people get past a certain point in the village, they sort of stop. They don't really make it to the east end. They don't know what's beyond there. And I think wayfinding would help people know more about what Woodstock has to offer. We have hiking trails, we have the bike trails, we have history trails, there are various businesses. And so I put this together. I also met with Wendy Spector and Mike Green about this proposal because this is something that they had also mentioned an interest in doing. And if we put together a comprehensive wayfinding design, we could carry that over to, say, the hiking trails in Billings Park as well. Like they would have to pay for that separately, but the design could include something for them to use. It's also a project that happened to be proposed in our Woodstock initiative that was completed in 2019 and 2020. And the summary gives examples of the various types of wayfinding. Like it wouldn't be one set sign. There are various sizes depending on the location, and what we're trying to highlight. I did get an estimate from Wood and Wood Signs out of Waitsfield, Vermont. They designed the various signs and the examples I gave you, and along with a number of other towns as well. And they estimated between $4,000 and $6,000 to do the full design, the map, and then we would have estimates of cost for building those signs, which is another part of their business that they do. I would expect it would be more like 10,000, possibly, depending on how much back and forth there is. And we would want definitely to get some input from some other entities in town. I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if there's any questions, or I was hoping we could pay for this out of the Economic Development Fund, which is why I'm bringing it to you.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. My feedback would be also to solicit feedback from Jess if you haven't already, on the marketing, side of things.
Mhm.
But I do think that, yeah, it's one of the things that we're lacking right now. I don't think people know where Woodstock is or where it ends. And as someone who just went to, I think the Vondel last year when we did the vote, and have heard from people that they don't know where Faulkner Park is, I think this is, yeah, a great idea.
Abby, can I just make a clarification? It's $10,000 for the design, but then it'll be an extra cost associated with the
To build them. Yeah. Yeah. So, but as part of this design phase, we would have estimates of the cost to design. So we would know where the signs would need to go and of what type. And it would include the design of the overall map as well. And part of this too, I put in my summaries that we can have QR codes on the map. So, I mean, I know cell service is not the greatest in the village, but if you do have cell service, you can scan these QR codes and it could bring you, for example, to the chamber website or to Wamba's website or maybe the national park website. So people can get more information that way as well.
So I have one comment around, I see the need for it. I also see I'm also looking at the budget on the other side and seeing we have a lot of things to pay for. And so we could curious whether we could explore something where this seems like something that might be able to be sponsored, especially if we have QR codes where there's local businesses that might sponsor a splash page or something as people come to that. So that's the only thing I might comment on. And as we have the budget discussion, just looking at okay, if we have X amount in the economic development fund, how much does that leave for housing or other core needs versus signage? And this seems like something that might be easier to get sponsorship on it in a classy way. I realize it would be more like a big presented by McDonald's. That doesn't exist anymore near.
Big golden arches on top of.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you look into that, Abby?
Yes, I can do that.
Any other comments? Okay. Thank you.
Anything from the today?
I don't see any, no. Okay. Wastewater plant renovation updates.
Yeah, so earlier this morning, I forwarded the select board 30% design review documentation that the lieutenants put together. That includes the final design, design drawings, and 30% cost estimate. So this is where they think 30% relate to the process, where they think the cost is going to be. Building right now about between $33 and $34 million is the estimate to go forward. We had about 30 million, I think, about this time last year. So not an insane jump, but to be expected with everything going on. We have a few of us have a call on Friday to talk more about funding with the plant. They're scheduling an in-depth meeting with the operators, kind of go through the current design without meeting for them. They're going to schedule that in January. And we really need to gear up on some public forums, I think, after the holidays and kind of go full steam on that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't look at the actual specifics. Does that include the dewatering?
Did I pull up quickly?
I've just tried and it didn't find. I don't need the answer today.
Yes, this has dewatering facilities and maintenance garage modifications.
I don't think the 30 included dewatering.
So the 30, you mean?
The original.
30.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
When we started talking, didn't include dewatering.
No,
The
this is-
dewatering.
Yes, this is in here on the cost estimate.
So, okay.
Any questions on that? Okay. Plaques and monuments policy.
Yeah,
That's
you
you.
can-
That's me.
You and Cliff.
I know.
You
Well,
wanna pass it down to the junior
yeah,
member?
we're meeting tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say it kind of went back burner since the ground is frozen and I don't think anyone's putting up any plaques and monuments for a little bit. So, we'll be on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
We didn't say anything, Roger. How can you have?
Yeah. It's Roger.
So I'm speaking for myself and also representing Wendy Spector. First of all,
Please state your name again.
oh, I'm sorry, Roger Logan, Woodstock, Vermont. We have some recommendations, which rather than read them out, I'd be happy to send them to you.
That would be great.
So not to waste everybody's time, but so I'll send those to you
Yes,
as soon as I get home.
okay.
Okay,
You know how
great.
to find me.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Vote on update the sewer and water guidelines.
Yeah, so the select board has voted and passed some guidelines for abatements when it comes to water and sewer bills. After a recent abatement ask, the board asked that we go back and kind of update this to make sure that no abatement beyond 3 years would be granted by the select board. So you have the same policy in place beforehand, just with letter D going back to 3 years.
Statute of limitations.
Yes.
Any questions?
Nope.
Comments? Then I will entertain a motion to approve the guidelines for water and sewer abatements.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is the marketing contract.
Yeah, so just Kirby kind of just disappeared, but this is continue services with her for the next year. She's, in my opinion, been doing a great job. The only real change in this contract is we included the fact that she's leading the marketing committee, so that's part of her new job responsibilities. And also we've gone from a monthly stipend to a hourly wage based off 20 hours a week, which would be equivalent to her current stipend. But with a possibility to go over the 20 hours with prior approval from myself or the board if necessary. This is mostly because Jess has been working over 20 hours, especially lately with the website with no extra compensation. So this is a way if we're going to be using her to pay her fairly and accurately going forward.
Are there any comments?
No.
Questions? No? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to approve the marketing contract for Jess Kirby.
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, EMS per capita fees.
So I believe Chief Green is here. If you have any questions, but this is the yearly, we have to be capital fees, they get sent out to the neighboring communities. No changes from last year, correct, sir?
When's the favorite? Can you just come up so everyone can hear you, please? I just have a question of when was the last time these fees were raised?
2020. Substantial rate.
And this is equal to what other towns are doing?
No, we're extremely high.
Okay, that's good.
Extreme. Neighboring towns are around 40 and we're pushing 70.
Okay.
Is there any sense that any other of these towns are shopping around? Given the, okay,
Other than the one we let go.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve the Woodstock fire EMS per capita fees for the table that's been presented at last year's rates, correct?
Correct.
Your motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Next up is the budget discussion.
Yes.
Do you want me to get that?
I am. Okay, so last time we met, we talked about the department head budgets that were presented by department heads. What I've done in the limited time is kind of go through and take a look at what I see in the budget and make some changes. I have not been able to do a deep dive or anything, so this is kind of more or less boilerplate beyond some requests that we'll get into in a second. One thing I did not do that I have considered is talk about moving Abby Chairman and part of her salary off from the economic development fund into the operating budgets each year to kind of save the money for other resources is a request I may have. That's not shown here yet. But the real increase we're talking, another thing I will flag too is due to the weather the last few weeks, I've not had a chance to sit down with Greg Fulton and really flush out the capital projects that he wants to see now that he's the director of public works. So that's kind of still boilerplate from last year. So that will probably increase in some capacity. There aren't really a lot of big changes. The new IT contract we signed with Data Man is a little bit more than the previous one we had. Salaries have gone up by either union contracts or a 3% COLA. Health benefits have gone up as they do every single year. A few small changes in operating supplies to try to be more in line with what we actually spend rather than what we normally budget. And so the budget I sent to the board, I think, yesterday, we're at a 13% tax increase over last year. The big ticket item we're talking about is from the fire EMS department. They're requesting 5 new employees for that department with a cost of about $450,000 for those 5 employees. We'll get into that in a second, and I think Chief Green is still here. Nope, okay, you love the chief. Okay, so Ronnie's here to take the fire for the chief. So that's kind of the big thing you'll see. Everything else is pretty similar. There's no other addition of staff than we already have budgeted currently in town hall. No addition staff in public works. No additions to staff in water or sewer or dispatch. So really, this is still pretty bare bones budget. I'm happy to add and subtract as the select board wishes. But just kind of for a reference, if you're taking that, if you look over here, the increases in the budget this year, 17% salary and benefits. You take away the request from fire EMT, you're looking at a 9% increase, 8% increase at that point. So that's kind of the big budget driver we have right now in this budget. What I will say before we go after Rodney here in a second. I can now find it. When it comes to fire EMT, we're struggling with getting part-timers in there. So what happens is when there's overtime, we're then paying a full-time officer, a full-time EMT firefighter to work overtime. Then that's increasing our rates. It's increasing burnout, it's decreasing morale when they have to work a 24-hour shift and another 24-hour shift. They're called in a weekend or a holiday. This will also allow us, in this request, it will be 4 full-time shifts. That would go from having 2 full-time people on at a time to 3 full-time people. Is that right, Rodney? Yeah, Rodney, you might come up just so we're not yelling. Ours, we know the difficulties in finding staff in this area, especially ones who can be certified firefighters EMT. They've had struggles staffing community events due to the lack of staffing. One of the asks is to have a full-time organization and one of them be a full-time training officer to provide more training, more specialized training to the staff. Right now, I believe, is Emma, you and the chief, or?
We have 2 of the full-timers. Part of their extra duties is assigned. One does EMS training, one does fire training, and then they basically report to either myself or Chief Green. By the way, I'm Rod Kenyon. I'm the assistant chief, also paramedic on the ambulance. So those 2 people that are their extra duties as assigned, they kind of coordinate the training. Then they report it back to us saying, hey, here's our schedule for the month or the year. And we try to accommodate and help them fill that out. But it is on top of their regular duties. And some days we don't get a chance to do any of our training, or we don't. So we need that one person that can be that go-to person.
Rodney, just for posterity, and I asked the chief explained this at the last meeting, but for those that are maybe new to the budget, it'd be helpful if you could just give like a minute overview of how our department is structured in terms of the difference between part-time, full-time volunteers, and also that our EMS folks are firefighters, et cetera.
So there's 4 2-man shifts. They work at 24 hours on, and then they'll have 72 hours off.
all of our full-time staff are both firefighters and EMTs, or firefighter and a paramedic certified. Then we have what we call part-time employees who are either just plain EMS people, so EMTs or paramedics. And then we have some what we call dual certified part-time people, so they can fill the role as a firefighter and an EMT if needed. And then we have our volunteer ranks of the fire department. The ranks are getting older, and we've had one person after 30, I think 37 years retired from the part-time ranks. He was an officer. But we've been trying to recruit since I've been here in 21, and we haven't increased any volunteer firefighters. We've picked up some part-time EMS employees that obviously live outside of Woodstock because of the amount of training and commitment it takes. So right now, those guys, the full-timers have that schedule. Work one day, have 3 days off, come back on a fourth day. Monday through Friday, they have the chief and I. He works from 6 to 2:30, he's scheduled, but often he's in early and he's late. He, stays late. I come on at 8 o'clock, but often I'm in there by 7:30. And like today, I didn't clock out until 6. I'm supposed to be there from 8 to 4:30. The full-time staff, they take the first ambulance call. If there's a second ambulance call while they're out, chief and I go, and then that basically leaves the town empty. We would call in for part-time coverage, or some of the full-timers that actually live nearby could call in and say, hey, I'm available for a third call if something happens. But actually it happened today. First crew went out, chief and I went out 2 minutes later. That left the town kind of unprotected a little bit, but we do have mutual aid agreement, everything like that. With the addition to extra staff, would be that first ambulance goes out. And then Monday through Friday, that new or extra full-timer and myself would go, and that would leave the chief here to help coordinate like the responses from the volunteer side of things, or he could pick up with a part-timer or somebody else that third call. That it happens quite a bit that we get 3 calls in a row. And again, the training is important because we have to do so many hours each year for EMS training and so many hours on top for our fire certifications too. And then on the weekends, we'll have the full-time staff, and then we have part-timers that fill in. They'll do 6 to 6, so 6 in the morning to 6 at night, or they will do the whole 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. the next morning. So but those part-timers on the weekend don't have to be dual certified firefighter EMS. So that leaves us hanging out there unprotected, kind of, because we still have that small population of the volunteer firemen that come in and help out. I hope that helped you.
It did, thank you.
Clear as mud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
So that's where with that, the other thing I'll mention is that there was a request for another admin staff in the finance office that was cut by me, mostly because that cost allocated across town, village, sewer, water. And the village is looking at a substantial tax increase already. And so we're at a disadvantage when it comes to cost that is allocated across all 4 funds.
We talked about when the department heads came forward, and Rodney, I'm sorry if I'm confusing you with Chris for a second, but we talked about increasing the fees for support at private events. I don't know if that was for fire and EMS or if that was just for police.
we haven't raised our fees for events since 21, just shortly after I started, under the previous ambulance coordinator.
Okay.
But yeah, there's some room that we can do that
I'd be
too,
interested to see how those rates compare to other communities.
Yeah.
I know we're in a place where we waive a lot of things and we're gonna be reevaluating that for community, like town-wide stuff, but you know, for private events held by private organizations that.
and
reflect
we
for
do,
Weddings and.
well, we don't handle the
GMA
weddings,
guy.
but the PD handles weddings, but during the summer, starting late March until October, every weekend, we have at least one EMT down at GMHA.
Yeah.
That's usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes they need 2 paramedics and an ambulance. Sometimes they have a need for EMT and then an advanced EMT, or so we cover GMHA, which brings a lot of money to the community. We cover the football games with an ambulance crew. We just got some hockey games from the school to cover. The big mountain bike races.
Yeah.
We have at least one EMT there with the gator that we have, which is a side-by-side. So if there's accidents out on the trails, we can get out on the trails, and knock on wood, we didn't have any problems this year. Last year, we had a couple of major incidents there. So the mountain bike races we cover with those. The 100 on 100, it comes through town. We put on extra staffing. And there's other little events that pop up. The roller derby. When they do that, they want 2 employees. So right now, what we're doing is we have one gentleman who lives over in Orwell, which is over on the other side of the state. He comes over and he does a lot of the GMHA stuff, where it's like multiple days.
Yeah.
So I just assign him to that. He stays at our station and goes and does that. And
But just for clarification, Bernie, those are, like detail works, correct? So that's not.
yeah, that's
They're
what I'm talking.
not on staff paying by taxpayer
Correct.
dollars.
They're getting paid from the
privately.
billing of that
Yeah.
event.
But there might be an admin fee that comes to the municipality to offset some of that, correct?
Yes, yeah, a very minimal.
Yeah.
Comes back to the municipality. Most of that charge is actually
Goes
going
right
to
to
the
staff.
employee.
Yeah.
Yep. And we charge more and pay that employee more to come in and cover that.
Well, we should look at the rates.
So I mean, if you just kind of
Can
look.
we, sorry, can we go back to the finance ad?
Yeah.
Ask, Robert, our finance director, he's asking for another person to do.
It was kind of a all hands on deck position, kind of a admin staff for finance, help especially in busy times, but also maybe provide help to Stephanie, Public Works, listed assessors, someone to kind of assist when people are out. You know, I think an issue we have in an office, unfortunately, is because we're so short staffed, if one person calls in sick or one person is out, we sometimes have a finance director answering people at the counter or
Right.
processing tax bills, which is great, but then you're paying someone with a high level of skill to do a job that we wish they were doing something, you know, more impactful on a higher level. So it's one of those positions like that they were looking for there.
Do you think there's 40 hours of work for that position?
I think with the staffing we have, if they're all working their hours, probably not. It might be more a part-time position.
Okay.
If I could just, if the board can see if we're kind of looking at, you know, column F is the approved budget from last year. So that salary number from 3.6 to 4.2, 444,000 of that is the ask from the fire EMT. You get rid of that ask, hypothetically, it's down to 5%, which is basically just COLA, union contracts, and health benefits. Operating expenses are up 5% from, you know, 3.4 last year to 3.6. Again, that is not something absurd, just standard funding that the way we should be funding things. Culture recreation, more or less the same. Capital reserves, about the same, actually about $10,000 less. Last year we had a large jump from, I think, like 400,000 to 700,000. This is kind of keep us equal there. And the audit goes from 23 to 35. That is just, it's a 50% increase, but it's, $12,000 in the grand scheme of things. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm happy to take feedback if there's overall questions, or if the board has things you want me to look into adding or subtracting, or if still you want more time. We can always schedule a meeting in early January to kind of do a deep dive just on the budgets, or invite more department heads back if you want.
And was the budget available on web for?
It's gonna go up tomorrow. It's gonna go up tomorrow. I just had to make a clean version.
I think it would be helpful to have it
Yeah,
public and then have another meeting so that there's
absolutely.
more public input on it.
Any other questions?
Oh,
Hey.
No.
Thank you, Roger.
No problem.
Don't go far though.
I'll be right back.
I'm not gonna ask you a question. Roger Logan, Woodstock Village. If this can be done without creating a tremendous amount of work, I would find it useful as a citizen when I'm evaluating something like a 400K plus increase in staff for a particular department, which is, I'm sure, quite justifiable, but I would love to see a lot more detail in the kind of reports we get in terms of sending out an ambulance on the average costs X, or because it's very hard for me to evaluate based on essentially anecdotal information, and which I'm not saying is incorrect. And what we get in the annual report is like seven ambulance calls, with this, that, and the other thing. For the big ticket items, police, fire, and public works, which I think are really the big ticket items, if I'm correct. It would be useful to get a little more analytical depth on that. And again, even if some of it was estimated things, I would just, it would help me understand to what extent that 400K plus is something that I think we could live without, or I think we couldn't live without, or whatever else. And certainly in that should be included the cost of staff burnout and the cost of overtime and things of that nature. So again, I don't want to make a huge sentence for you, but that would be, to the extent we can start going in that direction with deeper data behind why something costs X amount. Thanks.
Thank you.
I love Roger's point. We don't have that right now. What I will say is, I did projections this morning, and we're trending in a deficit for salaries for fire and EMT, based solely on the extra overtime we're paying for having to cover shifts. So that's just a one data point that we have, but that's kind of where we're at. So we're working on trying to fix that. But
and actually, Rodney, if you don't mind, what is the lead time from when you say someone is interested in becoming an EMT firefighter and they're not certified? Like they come to us brand new, maybe right out of high school, right out of college, or maybe they just have a career change. How long until they can, what is the cost and in time and dollars to us before they can get on the truck or do what they need?
I don't know the cost, because
Okay.
it changes every year with everything, with supplies and teaching, but for someone fresh with no experience or anything, it's about 6 months for your EMT and then another 6 months for your firefighter. So you're looking at least a year, and that person is going to be green.
Yep.
They're going to be able to, drive, manage very basic calls.
Yeah.
With the more experienced person, they're going to spend a whole year, say, if we put them to paramedic school. It's about a year-long program. They'll be able to handle more. But we're looking at a year and a half until they're real comfortable working really unsupervised by myself or one of the older, more experienced providers. Yep.
And our department pays for them to go to paramedic school?
We have in the contract, there is a a thing for paramedic school.
Okay.
We have,
Now
what's
buyback,
that?
is it a 3-year now buyback? The new union contract
uh,
or 4?
I think it's a 4 or 5-year
Okay.
agreement that, you know, we pay for you to go to school. So many years out, if you decide to leave the department, you gotta pay the full tuition back. Another set of years is a third of it, then it whittles down. But right now, our individual who's in the paramedic program is out injured. And that's been causing a lot of that overtime because we have 8 people, 1 person's injured. Now we're down to 7 people, but we're actually down to 6 because his partner can't pick up overtime. So those 6 individuals are running ragged right
I think we have time. I think we're going very quickly tonight. So if I could kind of just quickly go through the budget as a whole, people in the audience have been watching. So I was talking before, there are some numerous tabs, some costs like my office, finance, plan and zoning, public works are allocated in different ways. My office is allocated between the entire town budget, the village budget, water budget and sewer budget. Planning and community development is allocated just between the whole town budget and the village budget. Sewer, wastewater is all and just in that budget. So it's kind of allocated in very different ways. But at the beginning of the budget, you'll see the kind of standard culture and recreation payments that go out. Some of the little theater bonds, the Woodstock Senior Center, Town Center, the library, the rec center. Right now, we still have money allocated for fireworks. So the select board has taken a stance on whether you want the fireworks committee to fund the entire thing or not. So that is money that could change. Pentangle's there as has been passed. Basic budget line for the bills themselves, utilities, repair and maintenance, the EEI repayment bond that was approved a few years ago. Your budget, which is basically your stipends, legal services, the regional engineering coordinator, things like that. My budget, which is again salaries and very minimal operating expenses, besides kind of IT software that just sits in my budget for ease sake. In office administration, we're talking, you know, $4,400 for supplies for the entire year for town hall. You know, postage is a lot of required things you can send out for whether planning development or just internally. Notices, the communication is just phones, the IT contracts there, IT operating supplies. That's straightforward. Auditing, you know, treasurer's just salaries, town accountants, same thing. You're talking $6,600 of non-salaries in that budget line. Everything else is just salaries. Assessing, very similar, you know, $15,000. All that is goes to consultant and licensing, mapping, education. Capital reserve, we're allocating money again for grand list updates. As we know, it costs a lot of money to kind of do the reassessment. We'll have to do one. We're doing one now to do one in a few years, so we're allocating money already for that. Public works is a beast. We can go through it. Kind of going through all that good stuff. I won't waste time on that. Dog waste bags is always something that just to point out for a laugh. We budget about $3,500 for that every year. Something else to highlight in the fire EMT budget. So this year we kind of combined the majority of those expenses. It's the same building, same supervisors. So we just kind of combine all that together in one budget form, make it a little bit easier. A few things to highlight in there is we have anyone's arriving sometime this year, fingers crossed. We have enough money in the capital reserve to cover that entire cost. But we have 2 more that will be due soon. One is a 2019, one is a 2020, I believe. So there's money allocated for that for future costs coming down the road. The select board voted to approve a fire truck this past year. So $100,000 allocated in capital reserves there to kind of start building up some reserves for the $1 million engine that will be coming in a few years. You see the fire department budget now gone, as the majority of it's combined, up above. Dispatch, again, pretty straightforward with salaries, $30,000 for the console repayment. Everything else pretty low, straightforward there. Town clerk, I think you can highlight, they've increased the assistant clerk line from last year. Last year was 60,000, that was through us step forward, it's back up to 76. Planning community development, the only big thing you'll see there, $24,000 is the short-term rental software that we're using, so that's where that money sits there. The Welcome Center is standard, there's still the $35,000 in there. They get paid to the chamber to assist with having people in the Welcome Center to offer assistance to tourists who come in. Your contingency fund and the $120,000 for the water capital projects that you approved that allocation for last year with the purchase of the water company for the entire town to cover the cost of. And then the allocation for this coverage from the town to the police, the village to the police. So that's kind of where your budget's made up of. Again, you're going to see salaries is the big driver. Capital reserves is operating supplies, auditor are pretty similar to the previous year's salaries where the big marker is. Like I said, I'd like to move some of Abby's salary to the operating line. I'll look at what that would do to the budget. I might get this number wrong, but I think this year we're looking at something around about $70,000 added or deleted from the budget will be about a 1% tax rate increase or decrease. So you add $70,000 to the budget, the tax rate goes up 1%. You decrease by $70,000 or increase revenue by $70,000, and you'll see a decrease of a tax rate of 1%. For reference, the village trustees are $7,000. So last year it was about $6,000 for the village trustees, $60,000 for the select board. Is now $7,000, about $7,000, give or take. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now for the townwide budget. If we have time, we can quickly go to sewer. Just the sewer right now, we're looking at a 9% usage rate based off last year. The only real difference from the previous budgets is, I will highlight it in a second. Line 127, which is, it's running the wrong way. $100,000, which would be used to allocate towards new wastewater plant renovation. We start building up reserves for that. So that's kind of the one big increase you'll see in the sewer budget, is that amount.
What about a sludge truck?
So we have, I think, about $200,000 right now in capital reserves for a sludge truck. We're getting a quote now to see how much the total cost will be for that. And then water budgets, based on the select board's recommendation, we are allocating some of the executive and town accountant salaries to that line. Operating budget has increased a little bit. Operating expenses, we've gone from $44,000 to $80,000. What that driver is we're finding out, as we kind of knew ahead of time, but now, you know, in reality is just, it's a place that didn't properly fund their company or their department. So we're, you know, buy tools and toolboxes and getting things up to standards, so they can operate at a safe and efficient level. A few things they've asked for that are still enclosed is the enclosed trailer, utility truck, that added about $61,000 to capital reserve. And then a water reserve is $35,000, again, just to kind of build up some capital in that account, to kind of have some money going forward for capital projects as well. And that right there gives us, as of right now, it'd be a 60% increase in the water rates. So that's kind of where we're the budget. Finance department, myself, Stephanie will kind of continue to work through this and flesh this out over the next few weeks. It'll be on the website hopefully tomorrow morning. The public will make that known. And then we can hopefully regroup early January and kind of figure out where we're at. I don't have the drop dead date, but I'm going to say January 15th is probably around where we want to make sure we would vote for the town warning.
Any other questions?
What, sorry, what did you say? Right now, the tax rate as the budget stands right now, the tax rate increase is 9% or 17?
13%.
13. And for the village, it's
I think I have it down to just under 23%. It was 40 when the department had submitted their budgets. It was 30 when I presented to them last week. I think I have it down to about 23 right now.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Next up is we'll go into executive session. I'll consider a motion under 1 VSA 313, discuss personnel, to discuss the appointments to the marketing committee.
Yeah, you should just, if you don't mind reading the whole the appointment or employment or elevation of public official or employee.
What letter is that?
Number 3.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll start over. I'll consider a motion to enter under executive session 1 VSA 313 to discuss the appointment or employment of or evaluation of a public officer or employee, provided that the public body shall make a final decision, hire or appoint a public officer or employee in an open meeting and shall explain the reasons for its final decision in the open meeting. The motion?
So moved.
The second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No executive session. I'm gonna turn the lights on if it's all right.
I'll get the light. You want me to make a motion?
Okay. Entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
For a second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right, Cliff.
A motion to appoint,
Chamber members of the marketing.
yeah,
I move to appoint Nora Pepe and Amy Bartlett to the marketing committee based on their extensive marketing experience and commitment to the community.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, entertain a motion to enter an executive session under 1 VSA 313, discuss potential contract that after making a specific finding and premature public knowledge will clearly place a public body or a person involved at a substantial disadvantage.
So moved.
For a second,
Second.
all those in favor? All right. I would,
before you leave.
I would entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's try this again. I'll consider a motion to enter executive session under 1 VSA 313 to discuss the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee, provided the public body shall make a final decision to hire or appoint a public officer or employee in an open meeting and shall explain the reasons for its final decisions during the open meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session with no
Actionable decision.
actionable decision.
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor? Okay, full of the minute from November 18th, 2025.
I move we approve the minutes of November 18th, 2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
is there a second?
Second.